Testing 1 2 1 2. I'm back after a vacation, and I don't know, it feels like in 1 week I feel like I missed the entire bull market. But actually what I'm going to show you today is that actually it's just the beginning of the bull market. And not only that, I'm going to show you why we are getting into the most aggressive part of this bull market, which means that actually I didn't miss very much while I was away, even though it seemed like I was away for eternity and the market's running. I'm going to show you today with data why this bull market is just beginning, and I'm going to show you what to do if you're sidelined, because I know that there's a lot of us here in the community that maybe aren't as in the market as we wanted to be, etc. at this point in the market. I'm going to show you what to do if you're sidelined. And I mean, spoiler alert, it's not to start FOMOing into everything. In fact, it's to chill, and I'll show you exactly what you want to be doing. So I'm back. I'm so happy to be back. It's going to be a good show. I'm happy to hang out with you guys. Let's get the show on the road, guys. Let's do it. Okay, I'm super happy to be back. Very happy to be back. We had a choice this morning. I went to dentist this morning. As you can probably see, I can't really feel my face, and I feel like my cheeks are chubby cheeks. But we had a choice this morning. Either I was going to come back after vacation with chubby cheeks and no face, or there was going to be no show today. And I chose to be here and to show up. So I don't want any comments about the fact that I can't feel my face. Can't feel anything. Anyway, but we'll carry on doing alpha without, and I guess by tomorrow, when I bring you more shows, my cheeks will be back to you. And Chipmunk Run will be away. I didn't eat a lot while I was away on vacation. That's not what's going on here. Look, the rest of my physique still looks the same. You know what I'm saying? It's just the cheeks. And it's just the dentist. Because yeah, we've got a guy here called 𝗕𝗂𝗧 who works with us, and he came to me, he said to me, I don't understand, you went away for such a short period of time. How did you come back with such big chubby cheeks? I was like, bro, it only happened this morning. So it was call it a dentist accident. Anyway, someone says you've been drinking lots of beer. I wish it was like it. Anyway, I got a big show today. We're going to be doing a lot of alpha. I'm going to show you what to do if you're sidelined. I think that's the biggest alpha. A lot of people want to know if they're sidelined, what are they supposed to do now in the market? It does feel like if we've been away, or if you haven't played it as much. No, I've been away, but if you haven't played this market as good as you wanted to play this market, and you now feel like you're not in as much. Have you missed the run? Should you still be buying ETH? What's the next play? Should you get into SBET? What is the next play? What are you going to be doing? That's one of the things we're going to discuss today. Also going to show you why I think that this is just the beginning. And you've really got nothing to worry about, because literally you're in the beginning stages of the bull market. And even though it feels like it's run, I think we've only had 1 or 2 good weeks. After 6 months of a bad market, we've had 1 or 2 good weeks. And that's all it's about. So if that sounds good to you, guys, what I need you guys to do, I need you to smash the like button. Let people know that I'm back here. The only way to do it is if you smash the like button, the YouTube algorithm says, oh, okay, hold on a second, the guy's back. And then that happens. I see we've got 225 likes. Hit the like. Come on, help me out here. I've been away for a week. I even came back with chubby cheeks. Not even chubby cheeks. It's not even about the fact that cheeks are chubby. It's that I can't fucking feel them. So if I'm slurring my words, you know why I'm slurring my words. Anyway, I think for me, the most frustrating thing about being away is that I called this market so perfectly right. Like, after making 6 months, and literally it was 212 days of making content every single day in this range. Every single day I made content. You know, I was one of the only streamers that made content every single day in this 100 range, all the way down through February, March, when the tariff things came on. And I really felt like I was actually losing my mind making content. And then that's where I left to go on vacation. Can you believe it? That is literally where I left to go on vacation. Bangkok Bird said, run called this pump. He's right. He must be following me on Instagram, because I was away on vacation. But what I did was, on vacation, when I knew this pump was going to go, and I knew it. When I say I knew it, I mean, there's timestamps here. You can see this post on Instagram.
Current price chart looks like it's about to make a massive move. So I want to actually just show you what I'm seeing, and maybe you guys can catch this trade, even though I'm on vacation. Let me show you critique.
So this is the Bitcoin price chart, and the lines that I've put over here are what they call Bollinger Bands.
We called
Bollinger Bands do is they measure.
You can see that was on the 7th of July, and you can see that is, let's actually just go back to the chart. That is the 7th over there. That is exactly when I put out that video and I said, okay, this chart's going to break out now. Everyone needs to be in there. I also updated the guys in front runners. I was like, guys, the Bollinger Bands are tight. There's going to be a rip. Just trust me, get in and start getting into the money. And hopefully they did. The good news is, though, that I think it's only the beginning. And that, like, if you're going to follow any of the old patterns, the idea now is to make a higher high from that point over there, which means there's about 60% just to get to the previous all-time high on total market cap. Or is this total? This is others, which is, but then we want to go above it. So it really, really, really is just the beginning. But I do warn you, though, that the next couple of weeks and the next couple of months are actually going to be quite intense. So if you compare this to the 2021 cycle, you could kind of say that that's where we turned, and we're probably like moving our way up now. Now, from this point on, if we top as quickly as we topped in 2021, then we're talking about 3 months. We're talking about like 100 days. That's 3 months. 3 months of like mad market action, and then that's pretty much, you could say, the end of the crazy bull market. I must be honest. I don't believe that this bull market ends in November, but we must always work under the worst case assumption. Let's just work under the worst case assumption that it ends in November. If it carries on beyond November, great, amazing. We'll just ride some of the bull market in November. But what I do know is that this part of the bull market gets really, 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 really aggressive. Specifically, if we follow any of the previous years or the previous cycle trends, things are going to move really, really, really fast, which means that you need to have your finger on the trigger here. You need to be prepared. This is not the time where you can chill and you can sit and you can relax and you can take your time. Now you need to be prepared. Now you need to be making moves. Now you need to be listening to crypto content. You need to be doing all of those things now. It's not like the previous 200 days when there was side action and you could take your time and you could make decisions and stuff like that. It's not. We're not there anymore. We're now at a slightly different stage in the bull market. We're probably like we're here, like we're moving up this crazy curve over here. David Bird says we've been waiting for this. Yeah, we all have. Well, a lot of us that are here definitely have. Someone says something about Coldplay. We're going to be so rich, we're all going to have affairs at Coldplay concerts. I mean, I tweeted about that earlier. I mean, by the way, I feel really sorry for that guy. I mean, I don't feel sorry for the guy. I feel sorry for his wife, and I feel sorry for the kids. The guy's got kids. Can you imagine walking around and that? Anyway, but that will do it in the relationship show later on today. 𝗲𝗏s, where are my little balls? Can you fetch my little balls for me there? So I can play with some balls while I talk to people here. Anyway, so I do think we're going to start moving really fast now, but I think let's just quickly get a sense check of where we're at in this market. So the first thing is we touched $4 trillion apparently. I didn't see it, and we're still on a $3.97 trillion market cap, but apparently someone told me we touched $4 trillion while I was away. Either way, we're very, very, very close to $4 trillion in terms of global market cap, which is, of course, the highest we've ever been in crypto. The funding rates, you got to keep your eye on the funding rate. So for this leg of the crypto market, the funding is getting a little bit high. So you can see that on specific coins, on Bitcoin and ETH, actually, funny enough, if you look at it here, and you can go to coinglass.com and you can go to the funding rates. What you can see is that on Bitcoin and ETH, the funding rates are actually like still okay. Like you'd say 10.95% annualized is base funding rates. But then like you get to things like XRP and that it starts to get a bit higher. Like it starts to get a little bit higher. So we do start having higher funding rates at the moment, which is what that usually means, that you could get some flashes in this market. You could get like, a flash. Remember, like a 5-10% flash on Bitcoin actually brings us back to like under 110. That could scare a lot of the tourists out. And I don't think that's going to happen specifically on Bitcoin, but I will show you what I do think is going to happen. So funding is slightly elevated. Josh, what are you making of this elevated funding rate? It is getting a little bit heated, but I'll tell you another thing. Fear and greed, we haven't actually hit extreme greed yet, believe it or not. Like we're nowhere near extreme greed. I was quite surprised. I would have thought by now, with all this momentum on Bitcoin and on ETH, I would have thought, okay, a little bit of extreme greed. No, nothing. We're still in greed. So that's looking pretty good, I must be honest. So the reality is still probably quite a long way to go. Also, remember there was that wallet, and everyone thought or speculated it was Roger Ver. And I actually spoke to Roger. He says it wasn't him, but as much as he tells me it wasn't him, I still kind of think it could have been him. Like, if I was selling 80,000 Bitcoin, then I don't know if I want everybody to know all my addresses and that I am selling 80,000 Bitcoin. So to me, it does kind of make sense that maybe it's him. Doesn't matter who it is. This guy that was selling the 80,000 Bitcoin, well, he's now finished selling. So the whale just sold all the 80,000 Bitcoin. So means that the one big seller that we know about in the market may actually be out the market. Now, the encouraging thing here is that he was selling and the Bitcoin price was actually still going up, which means that you can imagine that there's such a big demand for Bitcoin right now. There's such great momentum behind Bitcoin and behind ETH right now, that even when you have big sellers of 80,000 Bitcoin plus, it's still, the price can still go up quite a lot. That was, for me, one of the most encouraging signs of this pump, is that it was a pump that was like going into mass. It's like being able to fly fast and there's massive headwinds, but you're still managing to fly fast. And then, when the headwinds actually disappear, then you got to ask yourself, what's actually going to happen? Then the other thing is that we have Bitcoin dominance, which is now falling off a cliff. This is like an incredible breakdown of dominance, something we've been waiting for a long time. And if this Bitcoin dominance drop continues, we could see, let me actually get into the weekly, because I think the weekly actually shows a better thing here. So you see here, like if you think about Bitcoin dominance is on a decline on a long term. Since 2018, it's on a long, when altcoins were actually discovered, or when altcoins were actually launched. You can see Bitcoin dominance actually declining a whole lot. I mean, the logic behind that is that Bitcoin was the beginning of the industry, and then the industry is going to grow beyond Bitcoin. And as the industry grows beyond Bitcoin, Bitcoin dominance should continue to drop. And so what we're looking for is we're looking to get a series of lower highs. So we got one here we got another one over here. And so the logic is that you kind of want to see these lower highs and you want to see it break down and actually go into lower lows. So you want to actually see the Bitcoin dominance drop to somewhere over here towards the end of the bull market, right? That's where you want to be. And so it looks like we're actually falling sharply off a cliff here. Now, again, maybe it's too soon to call it, but when you look at all the other factors, it actually feels like maybe this is the beginning of this Bitcoin dominance drop. And I think, what's causing the Bitcoin dominance drop is actually what's going to cause the real crazy run in this bull market. And what's causing the major thing around this Bitcoin dominance drop is actually the ETH BTC chart. So if you look at the ETH BTC chart, which is, of course, how ETH is performing relative to Bitcoin, we know that for a long time, ETH wasn't performing well relative to Bitcoin. But now we've had a massive, very sharp reversal of the ETH Bitcoin chart. And now what you can also see to make things even more exciting is that this ETH Bitcoin chart is about to actually hit a golden cross. So you see, that's the variables of the golden cross, the SMA 50 and the SMA 200. We know that when the SMA 50 crosses the SMA 200 on the way up, that's what you call a golden cross. Now, golden crosses in the ETH BTC chart are pretty significant. So you can see kind of like what happens. You had a golden cross there, which shows that we were in the lower part of the move. We got a little bit of a flash down, which is pretty normal. And I think we might actually get a similar flash this time around. But then you get a massive run in ETH BTC. Now you can see the same thing pretty much happened here. We got the golden cross. We had the flash down, and then we went all the way back up. So we could get one of those classical golden cross patterns, which actually wouldn't surprise me much, because we've had a very good run on ETH and some of the altcoins, and it wouldn't surprise me if, as we got this golden cross, we got this golden cross playing out like all the other golden crosses, where you get the golden cross happening, you get a little bit of a flash, and then you continue to go way higher. That's something that could happen. Now, the reason why this is happening is because the mind share right now in the market is very much on ETH. Like I don't remember a time when ETH had so much support in the market. Now, it could be around the ETH Treasury companies, and what you can see is that there's a lot of momentum in these new ETH Treasury companies. I actually thought that SharpLink, which was the one that is headed up by Joseph Lubin, I thought that would be the biggest ETH Treasury company, right? But it actually looks like Bitmine, which is the one that Tommy Lee is behind, is actually now ahead. They have 300,000 ETH, and SharpLink has 280,000 ETH. Now, Peter Thiel, who is the founder of PayPal, he's one of the most astute Silicon Valley investors. He actually seems to have invested behind Bitmine. Now, to me, that could mean that he just gave them a lot of his ETH and he swapped them for shares here at a very low valuation. But either way, this whole ETH strategic reserve company is driving up the value of ETH quite a bit and the mindshare of ETH quite a bit. What you want to be looking out for when you're comparing these companies is you want to be looking at the premium to NAV, right? So here, the premium to NAV, the multiple to NAV is 4.09, which means that if you take the ETH that this company is holding and you take the valuation of the company, this one is trading 4 times the valuation of the ETH. This one is trading at 2 times the valuation of the ETH. So if you look at it about just an equalization trade, then you kind of want to say maybe Bitmine may outperform SharpLink in the next couple of days or weeks. For those who were or are in front runners, I wonder if I've actually got it here for you guys. But we actually did tell you to get into SharpLink. We did actually tell the guys to get into SharpLink at some point. In fact, let's just go to the channel. We've got to find that channel here. And I remember I said to you guys, I'm buying. It was at $17. I was like, guys, I'm aping into SharpLink now. It felt a bit. Hold on, let's try and where is my channel here? I'm not used to using this thing on a desktop, and specifically not this. Here we go. So I specifically I said I was struggling. Discord is actually banned in Turkey, for those of you who don't know. So it's like you have to get onto a VPN, and then you have to cheat the VPN with the VPN and all of that. Hold on, where is this? Yeah, the price was $17.50. I said, I'm buying a little bit of SBET. It may be treated like the MicroStrategy for ETH. Anyone that actually took that trade is 100% up. I think we're now 100% up. Let's actually look here. SBET, 100% up. More. I can see it's more. We're higher up. It's 36.93. So we're actually higher up than 100% for anyone who actually took that bet with me, or that thing with me on in Frontrunner. So ETH has really got momentum, and that momentum is good for us and for altcoins because it's taken the attention away from Bitcoin. You've got these treasury companies now competing in ETH. There's a lot of them going up every day, but I think the two that have positioned themselves as the best or the ones to watch are actually SharpLink and Bitmine. Let's actually see what Bitmine is actually doing. Is it BNMR? I think it is, or BMNR. Bitmine Emergent. Let's just see what it's actually doing here. 46.50. Okay, good. So I think the market cap at 46.50 is about 4 billion. Yes, that's about right. So so that's one of the reasons that's driving up ETH. The ETFs are also buying up ETH like crazy because ETFs are very much what they're doing. There's 2 reasons the ETFs are being bought up. One is the more interest that you get, the more noise that's happening, the more Tommy Lee's going on to CNBC, the more CNBC starting to talk about ETH, the more people actually land up buying ETH. Because that's how normie investors are. The more you talk about something, the more they buy it. Not when nobody's talking about it, that's when you should be buying it, but they rather wait for everybody to be talking about it. That's when they're buying it. And you can see the inflows into the ETH ETF have been monstrous. Look at these inflows. Insane. There was actually one day where it was close to $1 billion. Yeah, I think it was this day. $700 million. So that is what's happening with the ETH treasury companies. Also, the other things that are good for ETH that's the ETF flows. They're talking about a potential short squeeze. Now, I do actually believe that there's a short squeeze happening on ETH, but I don't think it's the same as what everybody's talking about. So the people are talking about ETH leverage totals equaling record highs. And so what people think is that this is a short squeeze. And I do believe that a lot of this actually is a short squeeze. But there's a big part of this that actually isn't a short squeeze. And the part of it that actually isn't a short squeeze is there is the carry trade. And the carry trade basically says you buy the ETF spot and you short the future and you lock in a little bit of a rate. There's like a rate differential. And so institutions are doing this on size. They're buying spot and they're selling the ETF and they're shorting ETH and they're shorting the perp and they're locking in some kind of premium. And that is effectively what's happening. I mean, World Liberty Fire continues to buy. And then you've got a whole lot of other things that are happening, like in macro. Like, for example, we know when the dollar breaks below 100, that ETH actually performs. So if you look at this chart over here, what it shows is every time the dollar breaks below 100, the 𝗥𝗄𝗧 breaks below 100, you can see it over here. Look what happens to the ETH BTC chart. And again, it happened here, drops, and then there's the ETH BTC chart, and then it happens here, and the ETH BTC chart goes up. Why does that happen is because a drop in the dollar actually acts as weakness in the dollar actually acts as a kind of financial stimulus or a reduction in interest rates when it comes to risk assets. So as the dollar falls, risk assets go and reprice. And when they go and reprice, ultimately what lands up happening is people going to more risk assets because they feel richer. That's how it is. Because I've got a whole lot more dollars. No, well, in dollar terms, in paper numbers, you may have a whole lot more, but it's worth a whole lot less. So that's part of what's driving it. The other part of what's driving ETH is if you look at the legislation, and the legislation is finally being passed. There's 3 pieces of legislation that are being passed. You got the Clarity Act. That's being passed. The Clarity Act just basically gives us all clarity about crypto regulation. I saw that one of the exchanges actually broke it down quite nicely. It was 𝗕𝗂𝗙 said the Clarity Act aims to classify cryptocurrencies either securities or commodities, and then effectively that just makes it easier to regulate, so we know what the hell we're actually dealing with. Then you got the Genius Act. And what the Genius Act is, it's around stable coins. We know what this Genius Act is. And then you've got a new one, which is the Anti-CBDC Surveillance Act, which effectively prevents the government from issuing a CBDC. So you got 3 pieces of legislation, and those 3 pieces of legislation actually play beautifully into ETH, right? So now we know that ETH isn't a security. We also know that a lot of the projects being built on ETH aren't securities. Also, we know stablecoins, a lot of the stablecoins, in fact, the majority of stablecoins are still happening on ETH. And so this legislation, sorry, I can't feel my lips, my cheeks. This legislation very much plays into ETH, right? And so that's what's happening over there. Then, on top of that, there's actually new legislation, which is very, very, very good for the whole crypto market. So I read this article yesterday in Financial Times. So Donald Trump said to open retirement market to crypto. And what they want to do is they want to pass an executive order which allows the 401ks for people in 401ks to actually invest the 401ks into things like Bitcoin, ETH, and 𝗙C and gold. It says Trump is preparing to open the $9 trillion US retirement market to cryptocurrency investments, gold, and private equity. And if you want to just get a feel for how big this market is, they're talking about $9 trillion. I think it's a much bigger market. It's a $43 trillion market, which can now come back and start investing in things that are, should we say, a little bit more untraditional. So all of this is really playing into ETH and giving ETH amazing momentum. And that's really what is causing this dramatic change in the ETH BTC chart, which is a reversal. Now, in this reversal, we're already back in the channel. As you can see, we made our way back into the channel. And now it's a case of moving back up this channel and maybe even breaking out of this channel, which is kind of like exactly what Bitcoin has done. So if you look at Bitcoin, just go to Bitcoin and you can have a look at it here. What you can see is that, okay, let's see if we can get, why is it not going back? Oh, it's that new OKX chart. So you can see that Bitcoin is now broken, or is it above? I don't want to lie to people. Yeah, I think it's above. So you can see Bitcoin is now trading above this multi-year resistance line or whatever you want to call it. So we could get the same kind of move in ETH, right? The thing with ETH is you got to remember, Bitcoin is a great asset, but for Wall Street and for institutionalization, which is the narrative and the core of this cycle, Wall Street actually understand ETH a lot more, right? Remember, ETH is a yield-generating asset. So Wall Street really understand yield. And specifically with ETH, you've got the staking rewards. I mean, it's low, but in Wall Street terms, having an asset that appreciates in value while still being able to earn a 3.1% return is amazing. And so this is how Wall Street basically sees ETH. It's the next Bitcoin. They missed Bitcoin. They feel like they've all missed Bitcoin, right? Specifically, they look at the Bitcoin chart, they say, wow, if I look at the Bitcoin chart has broken its previous cycle's all-time high. I mean, it's now about 73% above its previous cycle all-time high. But then the same geniuses go and get the ETH chart, and then they go and look at this and they go, hold on a second, how's ETH relative to its 2021 high? And they say, okay, well, the one's 75, 78% up, and the other one is 25% below its previous all-time high. And so, in their heads, and actually in our heads in too, because it's actually a real thing, the narrative is that ETH hasn't even hit its all-time high. And I've seen a lot of posts that say the real bull market begins when ETH actually passes its all-time high. And I think that's actually true. So right now, ETH is, let's just quickly look at it here. So ETH is, it's about 11% away from this cycle's high. And it is about, we still have to go up another 33% to get to its previous cycle's high. And then we've got to actually run this cycle's race. You know what I mean? So still quite a long way, I think, to go on ETH. I do think that there'll be corrections. I do think there'll be dips. But I think this institutional buying and the fact that we've got this MicroStrategy playbook playing out on ETH right now is actually going to give ETH a lot of legs, right? So I mean, let's just carry on reading this. The next Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin with yield. It does have yield. It's auditable monetary policy with transparent issuance and burns. A settlement asset behind most stablecoins, and we know the stablecoins are projected to go into trillions of dollars. The most preferred neutral global settlement chain for digital assets, for tokenized real-world stuff. High-grade on-chain collateral accepted against DeFi. Infrastructure. So you can see that there's a massive ETH narrative that Wall Street, these are all things that Wall Street really, really, really understand. It's much harder for Wall Street to understand digital gold than it is to understand settlement layer and transaction fees and stuff like that. So that's all playing into ETH's thing. Also, as it relates to the ETFs, so there's been crazy ETF inflow, and that is right now with a situation where ETH ETFs cannot capitalize on staking yields. So it's almost like if you're a Wall Street investor and you own ETH and you own it through the ETF, you're actually throwing away 3.12% minimum. It's actually much higher than that. But 3.1% of the staking, in terms of the staking reward, you're actually throwing that away, right? And yeah, so if you're actually throwing that away, then investing in the ETF actually isn't that favorable. So now what you're seeing is that BlackRock has actually applied with the SEC because they think now is the right time. And they want to amend the terms to actually allow them to stake the Ether held by the trust. When they do that, then you'll get much, much, much more demand for the ETFs, but also you'll get a narrative of the runs in the staking protocols. And you can see one of those runs that's happening in the staking protocols is actually on Lido. So Lido is one of the tokens that we put into our ETH portfolio. I made these portfolios called the ETH Bull, the Cycle Bull, the Solana Bull, the Meme Coin Bull. And I kind of told you guys, like, if you want to be in a broad portfolio, this is the whole portfolio. And if you want to be in an ETH portfolio, this is like a great ETH portfolio. Actually, what I did was, and I mean, this is going to be the biggest 𝗙𝗪𝗪 that you've ever seen. But long story short, there's this company called 𝗏𝗏folio. I remember before I went to where I told you about them. What they do is they allow you to keep the money in your wallet. So in other words, it never leaves your exchange. You're not giving them the money to manage. It stays in your wallet. But you can actually click on any one of these portfolios and you can follow all the portfolios. So for example, if you're on Binance and you want to invest in the AI Bull portfolio, you click here. If you want to invest in let's find the ETH Bull, which is up 50%. Our ETH Bull portfolio is up 50%. Just click on that one. If you're on 𝗥𝗏𝗃 or depends which one you're on. If you're on Binance, you can click on that one. If you're on Coinbase, you can click on that one. And you can actually trade it without doing anything. It literally just tell it what amount you want. And it copy trades these portfolios that we are managing. Now, the good thing is, that's why I say it's an 𝗙𝗪𝗪, is that we've managed to do it for free. So like you don't pay anything. So literally that's what you have to do. The code is CryptoManRan. Just find out if this is uppercase or lowercase. Josh, just check. Because I know it's case sensitive. So it's case and please let's specify that it is case sensitive. But then you guys can just copy these portfolios for free. There's not even they don't even charge you like a copy fee. It's crazy. It's literally you can just copy the portfolios for free and keep the money in your account. Anyway, so one of the tokens in the portfolio that we had is Lido. And one of the big beneficiaries of the staking is it's the first time that Lido has had a very big move was around the staking. I still think that Lido is very cheap. If you look at the Lido chart, that's where the Lido chart is. And you can see that Lido is the biggest ETH staking protocol out there. It's a crazy, profitable, one of the biggest and most profitable protocols. Researchers, if you could just send me the profitable, show me the profitable portfolios. Here we go. I've got it here. The cash cows. So here we go. Researchers are fast these days. So this is a list of all the protocols, and if we scroll by yearly revenue, I think Lido here. So Lido's yearly revenue is here we go, $100 million. That's a big revenue generator in crypto. So I think Lido is one of those ones that I kind of would have in the portfolio, because once the staking happens, the providers can either stake it themselves. I don't think they're going to stake it themselves. They can go to one of the other players. So they can go to Binance or Coinbase, or they can go to Ethify. But the majority of them actually may land up using Lido, because Lido has like institutional grade staking. So I do think if you're following this ETH portfolio that we've got, I do think that they're all still very, very good to hold. I think Lido is a very good one to hold. I think Ethena, I actually noticed one of the things that we do in Frontrunners. A lot of people think that like Frontrunners is, it's a call group. It's not. There's a lot of things going on in Frontrunners. There's charting, there's I'll show you in a bit, I'll show you one of the indicators. But one of the things that we do in Frontrunners is we're actually tracking wallets. We have like our own wallet tracking system. And one of the guys in Frontrunners, he says Ethena's up 30% since the alert that 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗧, who sold his Ethena at $1, is rebuying them back at 30 cents. Because this thing may actually start going now that there's actually yield and there's actually a bull market. So yeah, still very bullish on ETH, very bullish on the ETH trade. Although I do think in the short term, we should get a little bit of a pullback in ETH. ETH is at an amazing run. We know what happens. We know when leverage goes up like this, we always get some kind of flash. I mean, I want to just show you something. I just want to see if we can go back to when the chart was yellow. Let's see if we can get it back. See, we can be yellow for quite a long period of time. You see that here? We can actually be yellow for quite a long period of time. We've just touched the yellow over here. So I still think that the run has got legs. We may get a slight leverage flash out every now and then. If it did, it would be super, super, super healthy. You should probably have a buy list. But yeah, one of the good performers here has actually been Lido. It's gone up since we called it. 30 days ago is when I published this list. It's up 48.61%. One of them is down. I think it's Syrup. Yeah, because Syrup, when we called this portfolio, was writing a real world asset narrative. And now obviously that's slightly gone down. But in general, this portfolio is up 48% here. But if you look at the portfolio on Botsfolio, if you would have just been on OKX, you would have been 50% up. If you're asking why it's different for people on OKX, Coinbase, and Binance, because there's different listings of different coins on different exchanges. And so the problem is that we had to create it for, if you had an account at OKX, then we would have to create the portfolio for OKX people, which is slightly different from those people. Anyway, either way, it's up a lot. In fact, the ETH portfolio is one of the only portfolios that isn't beating the Bukele bot. Remember I showed you this Bukele bot. Bukele bot is effectively what they call a grid bot. And the grid bot trades in and out very, very, very quickly. And I said to you guys that we were going to launch this. We launched this on the 1st of July. Now it's the 18th of July. So far, he's returned 25%. It was as high as about 36%. So you can see I invested $45,000 here. And it's now at $56,000. It was at about $60,000. I said to you guys, there is room for 200 people in this bot. I think of that 138 have invested. If you want to join us, simple. You go here, you sign up. You have to sign up using this link, and then you just press copy, and then you just wait and see what happens. It's done very, very, very well up until now. Anyway, let's move on to altcoins. I think we all know exactly what's happening here, but let's actually move onto altcoins. So, I mean, as I say, like I went away about 10 days ago. This is what happened in the last 10 days. Imagine, like honestly, put yourself in my shoes. Imagine being away after working so hard for like 200 days and like hating life for 200 days and like being miserable for 200 days, having to make content. And then you leave, and then like this is what happens in a week. In a week, one of the ones that did very well is 𝗕𝗏. 𝗕𝗏, which is my play for stable coins, actually did very, very well. I still think also quite a long way to go there, but also with things. American coins, doing very well. 𝗥𝗲𝗹, and probably Cardano and XRP also doing very well. Yeah, 30% in a week. But I do think that this is just the beginning, which is what makes me feel better, because I do think that if you look at all the data points, so you look at the chart. Let's just put onto a weekly. So you look at the chart. The trend of Bitcoin dominance is down. It looks like we're falling off that cliff, which is a nice cliff to fall off. Henrik, he says this is like the wave, the last move, the move number 5 in the triangle. By the way, tomorrow, because I've been away and I want to pack in all the alpha, tomorrow at 1 p.m. EST, Henrik and I are doing a show on Banter tomorrow. So set yourself your reminders, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Put the reminders on tomorrow at around 1 p.m. EST. Henrik and I are doing a big show talking about how long this will last and what he's buying and when he's buying it. Always one of the best shows that we do. So, yeah, I mean, I think the dominance is going down. The altcoin index is starting to go up. So that's quite interesting that the altcoin index is going up. It means that 51% of the coins have outperformed Bitcoin in the last 90 days. So, here's the coins. So Bonk, Hype, Aave, ETH, see, they're all starting to outperform Bitcoin, which means that, I mean, if it looks like a duck and it talks like a duck, someone says, run the hamster. I mean, it leak, what? I can't feel my cheeks, guys. I know they're here, but yeah, it's tough. So it does look like a lot of these tokens are starting to outperform Bitcoin, which means that, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it must be Altseason. If it talks like Altseason and the dominance is dropping like it is Altseason, it's got to be Altseason. And so Josh says, for Portfolio, it's all lowercase. So you use, if you want, because they actually do charge a fee, but for you guys, they're doing it for free. So it's only for 1,000 people. It's for free. So and you can choose a whole lot of different portfolios here, and it's free for you guys. But you got to use the code CryptoManRun in lowercase. If you do it in higher case, you will be charged their fee. I don't know what their fee is. Couldn't care because we ain't paying. We're not paying. We're doing it for free. Yeah, so it looks like what we're going to get is a classic Bitcoin money flows to ETH, money flows from ETH into large caps, and then we're going to go into full-blown Altseason, which I think gets me to the question of, if you are sidelined at the moment and you feel like you've missed the ETH run, then let's talk about what you should be doing. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that, we missed the ETH run. We were on vacation. We all went with run. We went to Greece or to Turkey or wherever you guys ended up going. Now you've come back. The market's up 50%. What do? Do you ape in? So I think what we've got to do is we've got to trust that since the cycle has played out like every other cycle has played out, we have to trust a few things. The first thing I think we need to trust is that this is not the end of the ETH run. It's probably the beginning of the ETH run. And we have to have a thesis. My thesis is that the ETH chart, let's just quickly go to the ETH USD chart. My thesis around this ETH USD chart is that we're going to beat 2021's highs, and that's when the fun actually begins, and that's at $5,000. So you haven't missed the ETH run. Yes, this is an aggressive run, and yes, you may get some kind of pullback, but you certainly haven't missed the ETH run. It's just the beginning of the ETH run. Then you've got to trust that the cycle is just going to follow the rest of the patterns here. And I know it doesn't feel like it, but remember, it didn't feel like ETH was going to run either. The cycle always repeats itself. And so right now, when you say to yourself, well, it doesn't feel like Solana is ever going to run. It looks like the Sol ETH chart is actually at the worst point that it's been in a long time. I'll show you that Sol ETH chart over here. You see, look at that Sol ETH chart. It looks terrible. But remember, we like terrible. When we talk about terrible, that's when generally things turn. And right now, everyone's looking at Sol and going, look, it's been a great run, but now people aren't trading meme coins anymore, and it's all about the institutional investor. And in the institutional investor, Sol doesn't feature. Well, Sol does feature. So one of the things I would be doing is I would still be going into, I would aggressively be going into Solana and Solana betas, and I'd be sitting there and waiting. And I'll show you just some example. At some point in the cycle, there's going to be a lot of hype around the Solana ETF. And when that happens, things like GTO are going to start exploding. So if you feel like you've missed the ETH run, you can still go down the risk curve and start positioning yourself for the next part of the run. Even though, as I say, like Steve says, it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning of the run. And so don't think that you've missed the whole bull market. Look, most of these coins, I mean, let's just take some coins just for fun. Like, let's do some, okay, Sharplink Gaming is not a coin, but we are up double on that. But let's go look at things like Lido. So, I mean, no, man, I don't get a new chart here. Okay, let's go look at it. So you got like Lido, USDT. Again, like, do you think that this token is finished running for the bull market? Or do you think it maybe possibly just started, given the narrative? I mean, that's where you are in the bull market, right? Yeah, okay, great. It's been a good week. But let's just go to, like, we're just going to show you a couple of charts because I don't feel like I'm going through all the charts here. But, like, do you think that's the end of the altcoin market, or maybe do you think it's still got a long way to go? I mean, you can work it out. So, someone says, did I vacation in Thailand? No, but I want to vacation in Thailand. Oh, I'd love to. I vacationed in Turkey, in Bodrum. It was really beautiful place. I like it there. The Turks are amazing people. Amazing people. The food, holy shit. That's why my cheeks are so chubby, is because I ate so much food that only my cheeks blew up and the rest of my body stayed beach worthy. Now this will be gone by tomorrow, and tomorrow hopefully I'll be able to fill my face again. Yeah. Cool. So that's, yeah, I mean, so what we know is that when BTC has a golden cross, others goes on crazy runs. In 2019, others went on a 300% run and a 500% run. So this flow on ETH, this bull market, the money's going to flow on ETH. BTC just had the golden cross. That's going to filter into the altcoins. So what do you do if you sidelined? Start moving into the safer altcoins that haven't yet run. And again, I'm not saying go down the curve or go and look for that old altcoin and think that it's just going to move. But like moving down to things like AVAX, moving down to things like Solana, moving down to things like Injective, those things are pretty safe because you know that pretty soon, when I say pretty soon, I'm talking to you in like a couple of like weeks, there's going to be a big green Solana candle. You know it, I know it. Come on, it's not our first rodeo here. You all know it's going to happen. When that happens, we're going to be part of it. So that's what I'd be doing. I'd be moving slightly more down the risk curve, even though I'm saying it again, I don't think the ETH run is over. I think we'll get a little bit of a flash, and then I think we're going to go straight back up. So let's talk about other tokens that have really moved. So in the last week, so obviously all the American coins have moved. All the coins, Pengu's had, I mean, just look at this 1 month run on Pengu. I mean, it's unbelievable what 𝗏𝗏 and the guys have been doing on Pengu. Bonk obviously doing well because of the launch pad, doing fantastically well. Say the 𝗏_bet, the alternative 𝗏_bet, also doing amazingly well. This is just the beginning of all those runs, right? And I think there's massive opportunity. One other one that I think we should talk about is Black Hole. I mean, for those of you who don't know what Black Hole is, I wish I would have done a show yesterday, but my plane was delayed. I wanted to tell you to buy this yesterday. The reason is it was trading at a $50 million market cap. This is Elio and Alex's DEX. Full disclosure, we are investors. We own some tokens. We got them because we held Super. And because we held Super, we got an airdrop. Also, I think we bought like a validator or something. Like we're quite involved. Like, I mean, we're not part of the team or anything, but we are involved in this. So this one is an interesting one because there's no real winning DEX on Avalanche, and they seem to be doing it. Now, there's another play here. Now, I'm not a big LP provider because I don't like impermanent loss, but look at the APRs here. 5,000%, 6,000%. Now, you can get impermanent loss. So if you don't know what you're doing, stay away from this kind of thing. But if you do, you're getting like weekly Black Hole token airdrops for staking or emissions for providing liquidity on this DEX. So I don't know, probably a good one to look at in terms of staking, because then you're just going to get the tokens. But remember, you will get impermanent loss for those of you who have done this before. Another one which I'm actually watching is Pump Fun. So the reason why I'm watching Pump Fun is it launched. There was a short squeeze. I thought the short squeeze would take us to 10. It took us to 8. It took us to 7.2. Now what you're getting is all the early investors that got in at $4 billion are starting to sell. Now, very soon here, I think this is going to get very close to the ICO price. And then it's going to be like the moment of truth for all the investors. Now, what I think happens here is we go very close to the $4. Maybe we even get to the $4. And that's the real time to actually be buying pump, because then we go start getting into the real run. Now we're in a very interesting dynamic. The dynamic here is that you've got all these people that bought it at $4. They were all up. Now they're starting to not be up. Eventually they're going to say, okay, listen, I'm selling. And when they're selling, that's when we actually start getting out. But I do think for the future of crypto, pump is actually a good one. Actually, I'm supposed to have Alon on the show, who's the founder of pump, but I just want to see, because he's in New York and I don't know what time he wakes up. Let me check if he's actually WhatsApped us. He just liked my message. No, bro, you're supposed to respond to a message. Okay, I'm sure he will respond. He liked. I don't know. He must respond. He will respond. Yeah, so I think that's one that I'm actually looking at now. Is if pump goes anywhere around the $4, that's somewhere I'm going to go to buy it. What else? I see people talking about fundamentals. Yeah, someone Bangkok Bird says he missed run. Someone says baked. Guys, let's get off baked. Baked died. It was a tragic death. We tried as hard as we can to help him, but Bake's not going to make it. Colombian flu. It's not Colombian flu. I've been flying. I was delayed. I didn't sleep in the airport, so my immune system is a little bit, dead. Guys, I do want to have like a 1 minute heart-to-heart with you about front runners and being part of front runners for this aggressive part of the bull market. So, you know that, as I said to you in the beginning of the show, I really think that this part of the bull market is a crazy part of the bull market. It's like the part where we move very quickly over 100 days. Now, you need to be well positioned to capitalize on all of this. And it's not only about getting good calls. It's about calls, wallets tracking, having access to be able to talk to people like just look at the number of posts and calls that happen here every single day. There's model portfolios. Like if I said if you're bullish on ETH, here's a portfolio for you. This is on the 14th of, I said, look, this is another portfolio of what you can be holding. There's wallet trackers. So you can see we track some big wallets in there. There's charting. I mean, there's the indicator. By the way, we are launching the indicator. I'm just doing some last tests. This is, by the way, the indicator. You can see it here. Let's see. Can you actually see it here? That's loading. So you can see there's an indicator which tells you, we're trying to give you this indicator for free or close to free if you're part of front runners. So what I'm saying is, I think now at this part of the bull market, it probably pays to join a group like front runners. If you join it, if you don't like it after 30 days, leave, email me, I'll give you back your money. I just want you to try and have the front runner experience now more than ever when we should be able to make money. Yeah. Okay, so just a couple of other things. So remember, tomorrow I'm here with Hendrik. So Hendrik's with me tomorrow at 1 p.m. EST. Hendrik and I are doing a show. We're going to talk about Altseason, some of his calls. Then on Sunday, there's going to be another show, also at I think 1 or 2 p.m. EST. Then on Tuesday, Ben Cowan is coming to our channel. We're going to grill him a little bit about where he sees the market going. So I'm back. Bottom line is I'm back. Someone says, 𝗥𝗲𝗹 says, if anything, just listen to the morning call. That morning call is so full of alpha. It is actually ridiculous. And some people don't listen to it. The morning call is where myself and all the researchers meet every single morning to discuss everything that's happening in the market. And then we it's open to front runner people only. And then later in the day, we actually drop it immediately afterwards, we drop it in the front runner group for people who are in the US and wake up and want to get the alpha. And I mean, it's highly recommended. Anyway, I will see you guys again tomorrow. It's been amazing being back here, even though I can feel my face when I'm with you. What's that song? I can feel my face when I'm with you. See you tomorrow. Until then, chaps, trade well, my friends.